everybody to the first webinar of the S+T+ARTS4Africa project. We are very happy to host you here from Koper, Borut and Maya. We are both working for PINA, which is one of the partners of the S+T+ARTS4Africa project. Also, Gluon is with us, and Innova Plus, the lead partner of S+T+ARTS4Africa. And yeah, actually, this is first webinar of the series of 5 webinars that will follow. I will share you something more about the whole project very soon. So yeah, the first of the series is focused on the needs analysis, different approaches of collaboration in the intersection of science, technology, and arts. Just like brief explanation what we included in the S+T+ARTS4Africa project. So it started in May, and what was done so far is that call for host for residencies went out. We have made focus groups with all of the countries that we are cooperating with. In the framework of this project, we are working with Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, Tanzania, and Democratic Republic Congo. We have in the project different residencies. We have the prize, which is led by Ars Electronica. We have the academy, which is led by PINA. We as well have community building, which is led by Innova. And also Gluon is responsible for the residencies. And in the end, we will put all of these lessons learned and projects implemented together in a report. So we will also take away some of the important things that we have learned in the process. So yeah, the series of 5 webinars is here because we wanted to kick off the academy actually in a way that we have some capacity building done before we are as well having the academies, which will be implemented in 4 countries. So far Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, and Tanzania. And we are very much looking forward as well to implementation of all of these trainings in the field. We have a very special guest with us today as well, Chris. Chris is an artist and researcher actually coming to join us today to present the good practice. We have met each other in Ars Electronica Festival, where he as well received a prize for an amazing project that he will show us today and talk about it. So we are happy to have you here, Chris. Thank you for joining us. And yes, I will actually now pass the word to Borut to share you something more about the framework of why connecting science, technology, arts, and also how to do that. So
thank you, Maya, for giving the floor. Welcome everybody. It's a real honor to have you all here, and of course hello to everyone that will listen to us in the near future or far future in the video as well. So yes, I will just I prepared a few words about how the meaning of connecting science, technology, and arts, and then I will show you some examples of that. So if in an ever-evolving world driven by innovation, the boundaries between science, technology, and arts have been blurred, giving rise to a profound transformation in the way we create, understand, and interact with our surroundings. The emergence of interdisciplinary collaboration, the fusion with diverse expertise from scientists, technologists, and artists has become a powerful force shaping the contemporary landscape. This interdisciplinary approach transcends traditional silos and offers a unique space for exploration and innovation, where the convergence of knowledge and creativity generates groundbreaking solutions and profound insights. In this age of complex challenges and opportunities, understanding the distinctive nature of collaborations that bring together these 3 domains has become not only desirable, but essential as well. As science, technology, and arts influence nearly every facet of our lives, it is crucial to appreciate how their interactions yield transformative outcomes, from scientific breakthroughs and technological advancements to the cultivation of meaningful aesthetics and cultural enrichment. Interdisciplinary collaboration at its core represents a departure from the conventional compartmentalized approach to knowledge and creativity. It recognized that the challenges of the modern world are rarely neatly confined to one discipline. Climate change, healthcare, urban planning, and even the way we communicate and express ourselves all require multi-phased solutions. The fusion of scientific inquiry, technological innovation, and artistic expression not only enables a holistic approach to problem solving, but also brings about fresh perspective that challenges the status quo and ignite the sparks of ingenuity. The essence of interdisciplinary collaboration lies in its capacity to transcend the limitation of each individual domain. Scientists, with their analytical rigor, bring empirical evidence to the table, offering the foundation for understanding the world's physical and natural phenomena. Technologists, on the other hand, harness this knowledge and design and create innovative tools and solutions. But meanwhile, artists could contribute their unique vision, interpreting and communicating complex ideas and emotions, making the seemingly inaccessible realms of science and technology more relatable and engaging for the general public. This collaborative synergy not only benefits the academic and professional spheres, but also has a profound impact on society as a whole. In today's fast-paced world, where the rate of change in technology and the challenges we face are accelerating, interdisciplinary collaboration is more than a mere option. It's actually a necessity. As we confront issues such as climate change, global health crisis, and the ethical implications of artificial intelligence, the solutions demand a holistic approach that combines data-driven scientific insights with humanistic values and artistic expression. Moreover, the power of interdisciplinary collaboration extends to the enrichment of our cultural and social fabric. Artistic creativity contributes to our understanding of the human condition, allowing us to connect on a deeper level with the world around us. When scientists, technologists, and artists come together, they create not only functional solutions, but also products and experiences that are aesthetically pleasing, emotionally resonant, and culturally relevant. This exploration into the significance of interdisciplinary collaboration aims to shed light on the synergistic potential of this cross-pollination, emphasizing its importance and tackling global issues and fostering a more enriched and harmonious world. In the following examples, we will delve into the reasons why interdisciplinary cooperation is indispensable in today's world, discussing its impact on innovation, problem solving, and the cultivation of more holistic understanding of the human experience. I will try also to show you some noteworthy examples of successful interdisciplinary collaboration, let's say global-wide and also, let's say, regional-wide, that have somehow revolutionized industries and society as a whole, further emphasizing the urgent need for this approach in our contemporary world. So let's go to the examples. Let me just share my screen. Okay. So I would like to start with, of course, as mentioned before by Maya, our partner from the consortium, S+T+ARTS4Africa. I don't know if everybody heard about S+T+ARTS4Africa. It's a wonderful reality in Linz, in Austria, and is a center with a laboratory called Future Lab. And the Future Lab, it's working more than 40 years in the field of combining and finding synergies between art, technology, and science. And I would like to show you some examples of that. Just let me start the video. Okay. Now. Okay, now you should hear me. I will start the video. The first one is an example in collaboration between Ars Electronica and the University of Linz in how to empower the medicine, the studies of medicine.
Das ist wirklich ein Moment, wo die Tür aufgeht hin zu neuen Möglichkeiten in der universitären Ausbildung.
Wir haben eine Fakultät fürs 21. Jahrhundert gegründet. Damit war klar, dass wir nicht lehren können wie im 20. Jahrhundert. Es gibt einen Standort mit dem Ars Electronica Center, mit einem wunderbaren Radiologen, Professor Fellner. Das alles haben wir zusammengebracht und damit gibt es jetzt einen Medspace, wo man Anatomie in einer völlig neuen Form erleben kann. Und die große Vision ist, dass wir in der Medizin damit Maßstäbe setzen, um Dinge hier wirklich weiterzuentwickeln.
Für uns aus dem Ars Electronica Future Lab ist eine ganz wesentliche Phase hier mit abgeschlossen, nämlich die Entwicklungsphase für diesen Cinematic Rendering oder Cinematic Anatomy Vorstoß. Der Vorstoß deshalb, weil das weltweit einzigartig zu sehen ist, was hier präsentiert wird und was hier eingesetzt wird. Eine Technologie, die es uns erlaubt, die Zukunft der Higher Education im medizinischen Bereich völlig neu zu denken. Also das ist wirklich ein Moment, wo die Tür aufgeht hin zu neuen Möglichkeiten in der universitären Ausbildung. Und wir sind enorm stolz, da mit im Team zu sein, als Entwicklungspartner mit Siemens Healthineers auf der einen Seite und aber gleichzeitig auch die wissenschaftliche Begleitung durch Primarius Franz Fellner und der gesamten Med-Uni hier in Linz.
Was mich so begeistert hat hier an Linz und dem ganzen Setting mit dem Ars Electronica ist sicherlich die Zusammenarbeit mit Professor Fellner, der das Thema natürlich sofort aufgegriffen hat und mit ganzer Begeisterung in das Thema gegangen ist. Und das hat ermöglicht, eine Software, die eigentlich für die Radiologen zunächst entwickelt wurde, um denen bessere Bilder zu liefern, diese Software weiterzuentwickeln für die anatomische Lehre. Also wirklich das einem ganz neuen Anwenderkreis verfügbar zu machen.
Also bei Cinematic Anatomy ist das eine, dass es faszinierend aussieht und schon hervorragend funktioniert. Das andere ist natürlich, man hat schon emotional eine andere Beziehung zu diesen fantastischen Bildern, wenn man weiß, das ist jetzt ein lebender Mensch, den man da betrachtet und keine Computersimulation.
Die besondere Herausforderung für uns in dem Projekt war es, aus einem frühen Prototypen, der bei uns im Ars Electronica Center im Deep Space erstmals gezeigt wurde, eine für eine Universität geeignete VR-Anwendung zu machen, die wirklich quasi in einem komplexen VR-Raum trotzdem auch für Mediziner einfach zu bedienen ist.
Wir haben ja hier jetzt die Möglichkeiten der Computergrafik, die man am Seziertisch nicht hat, die man in einer haptischen Anatomie nicht hat. Das heißt, wir können unsere Bilder vergrößern, vor allem wir können sie bewegen, rotieren und eine komplizierte dreidimensionale Anatomie zu bewegen. Das erleichtert das Verständnis der komplizierten dreidimensionalen Anatomie. Dann können wir zerstörungsfrei hineinschneiden und zurückschneiden. Was Sie an der Leiche wegschneiden, ist weg, ist verloren. Das passiert uns bei der virtuellen Anatomie mit dem virtuellen Schneiden nicht.
Wir bauen auf dem Know-how und dem Wissen unterschiedlichster Disziplinen im Team, im Spielfeld zwischen Kunst, Technologie und Gesellschaft. Und diese Infrastruktur hat einen enormen gesellschaftlichen Nutzen, den wir sehen, der hier nicht nur in Linz eine Rolle spielen kann, sondern weltweit, international eine Rolle spielen wird. Und wir sind sehr, sehr froh, gemeinsam mit Siemens Healthineers hier eine Möglichkeit gefunden zu haben, das auch über die Grenzen Österreichs hinaus anbieten zu können.
Ich habe jetzt ja junge Oberärzte mir genommen, die mich unterstützen und auch dann unterrichten können, dass ich nicht alleine bin. Und die sagen auch schon, das ist erst der Anfang, das hat unglaubliches Potenzial. Also was genau noch kommen wird, wissen wir nicht, aber wir wissen, da ist noch gewaltig was drin in der Zukunft.
Well, this is the first example. It's really like a large-scale a project that it's improving a lot. Some really like interesting field as medicine is. I would like to share the second one, that it's about more like artistic project, but I will tell you a little bit more about it after the video. So these were actually a storm of drones, on Linz, in the sky of Linz, and why this is like also like part of the complexity of how to maneuver a storm of drones. How this, it's an art and science project. It's shown in the next example. Towards the robot car, exploring human interaction with an autonomous object. And I will tell you an anecdote after this video, 1 minute. So this was like Ars Electronica and Future Lab. Okay, this is an old video, it's an old example, but for me, it's like a really good case how to explain what relation between art and science can provide or can offer. When I was the first time in Linz, Ars Electronica, Future Lab, we entered a room. This room was full of drones, and the feeling that having like 5 or 6 drones flying towards you in a let's say it wasn't so small, but was quite a big room, but was quite frightening. But those drones like stopped 1 meter in front of us, and the researchers was telling us, did you felt frightened by those drones? We said yes, of course. But can you tell us what frightened you? And we all together said that the fact that we haven't been sure if the machines is seeing us, if perceiving us, and they start to explain that they are working in this interaction between machines, robots, artificial intelligence beings, and humans in order to somehow show the people that machines are really like assuring that we are perceived and they can interact with us. For example, when we show the drone, okay, can we go past you? The drone did like a movement saying to us, yes, I see you. And this was applied, why Mercedes and the robot car, this was applied on the self-driving cars, because the researchers find out that when the car stopped in front of people passing on the other side of the road, even though the car stopped, people didn't really felt safe to walk in front of the car, because people didn't realize that this machine actually saw them. And what the artists proposed, the researchers proposed, to install a small projector in the front part of the car, and the projector we're projecting a zebra on the bottom, and in this way you can really felt that there has been an interaction, that the machine is seeing you and is saying to you, okay, you are free to go. I saw you, I acknowledge you, and this small change really affects a lot the feeling of this self-driven car and the perception of the self-driven car. Okay, but this is really like high-level examples. Ars Electronica is working from 1997, so it's more than 44 years exploring that. And I would like to show you some of our cases, how we collaborate and how we are applying art and science. The first example is art installation, developed as a touristic product. And this is the video about it.
Projekt Dante Copiosus, ki se nahaja tukaj za mano v avli palače Bezengi del Jugi v starem mestnem jedru Izole, je nastal kot pilotni projekt MC-Ruka v produkciji Pine, izvajali pa smo ga v sklopu kolektiva Stran 22. Ta projekt je prostorska in svetlobna instalacija, ki predstavlja dejstvo, da so v Izoli ob koncu 14. stoletja nastala dva rokopisa celotne božanske komedije. Torej, Turistično-informacijski center Izola je želel turistom in tudi domačinom predstaviti to manj znano dejstvo. Dante Copiosus je nastajal skozi več mesecev, v resnici ga še zaključujemo in ni še odprt za javnost zaradi vsem znanih razmer. K samemu projektu smo pristopili z različnih smeri. V bistvu je del naše ekipe študiral sam tekst božanske komedije, s tem nekako napravil dramaturgijo, tako da smo potem se odločili, da bo najbolje, če predstavimo to skozi neko svetlobno inštalacijo, ki ne bo veliko povedala o sami komediji, ampak bo obiskovalcu dala občutek tega, kako se, na primer, pesnik Dante, liki, kako se počutijo znotraj pač tega popotovanja od pekla do raja. Torej, sama prostorska inštalacija je sestavljena iz 3 delov. V prvem delu obiskovalcem predstavimo video na hologramskih ventilatorjih, ki predstavlja samo zgodbo kopiranja božanske komedije in teh 2 kopij, ki sta nastali v Izoli. Nato pa obiskovalca povabimo v centralni del, ki je pa sestavljen iz svetlobne inštalacije, ki je namenjena temu, da v obiskovalcih v bistvu, da jim sproži nek občutek tega, kako se je pesnik počutil na tem popotovanju od pekla do raja. Potem smo pa želeli vseeno biti malo informativni za obiskovalce, tako da smo okoli tega centralnega dela pripravili razstavo o teh 2 kodeksih, samemu kopiranju božanske komedije in temu delu.
But even those examples are all about like technology, but the art and science approach can be applied on different levels as well. And this is one of the things that we at PIN are doing. One example I really would like to show you. I don't have the video for this occasion. I have just photos. It's our workshop called Dunch at the Holy Crab that actually talks about biomaterials obtained from the outer shells of shrimps. As you can see here, we are collecting garbage from restaurants, people eating shrimps. We collect the outer shells of shrimps that are made from chitin, mainly from chitin. And from chitin, we are obtaining chitosan. And with this chitosan, we are producing bioplastics. And in this workshop, the participants are actually building their own plates, spoons, forks, with the usage of these recycled biomaterials, because we are combining the chitosan with seaweed, with the shells and other organic waste, and somehow reflecting on the recycled circle, because the chitosan, it's a really wonderful fertilizer, sorry. I lost the English word for the fertilizer, and somehow these plates and forks are unusable because they are not strong enough. But if you put it back in the plants, you receive some food. So this is like the logic of recyclement. And then it can be this approach applied also in participatory processes and in projects that can be really fascinating and can involve a huge community of people. And this is another video I want to show you about our one of our projects. So actually, we put 2 kilometers of paper on a road on the seaside, because the municipalities were about to close this door to this road to the traffic, and the mayors were telling this: we will return this piece of land to the people. And we said, okay, if you're really gonna return this piece of land to the people, let's see what people want on that piece of land. And on that paper, we asked the participants to draw their vision of this 2 kilometers, and each group had 10 meters of paper. And what was the scientific part of that project? That we actually engaged the scientists, and we prepare a study of all the cultural heritage limitation, natural heritage limitation, all the existing spatial plans. And with this document, the people that they were applied for drawing they have a background, a scientific background, how to envision this space. And then we analyze with the help of other scientists the results. So the result weren't like, okay, people want amphitheaters or want beaches, but we analyze what kind of materials people want, what kind of approach, what the feelings that this piece of land needs to provoke in people. And this study is now the base of the spatial plan of this region, of this part of our land. So it's like a participatory approach that has had concrete results. Another project I wanted to shortly present is our Design Science Summer School. So we're working with 3 universities, one of Ljubljana and Split in Croatia, and FH Johanum from Graz, Austria. And we developed a summer school called Design Science that is based on the interdisciplinary approach of combining design and science. This year we are preparing the 4th edition, and each year we have a theme. The first year the theme was synthetic foods. The second year the theme was cohabitation, and this year edition was called and talk about para-intelligence. And it's a week-long project. And a few days ago we published the methodology. Unfortunately, until now just in Slovene, but soon we will have it in English as well, explaining this approach, that it's really super cool because it's offer a lot of interdisciplinary approach and how to develop those approaches, but also we reach fantastic results with a group of students and non-students in this week-long project. So from my side, this is all. Maya, it's you again. Thank you very much. Sorry, just I need to switch the Zoom. Just a moment. Okay, Maya, you can go.
Okay, thank you, Borut, for the presentation. I would actually open the floor. If you have some questions for Borut, this would be now the time to propose some. You can either put them in the chat, or you can as well just unmute your microphone and yeah, ask if you have some open questions. The chat will remain open, so also like if Chris, here the word is yours.
Yeah, I have a question. Oh, it's the document you just shared, you said is in what language?
In Slovene, in our
Slovenia. Okay, okay.
yeah,
I see.
but we will translate it in English and publish it in English soon.
Yeah, it's in
All
the
right.
process, like the translation is in process. So far we did in Slovene, but it will come from the
Okay, that's great. I thought I had Swahili, so I just wanted to confirm. All right, thank you.
No, sorry. Okay, yeah, feel free like to put the other questions in the chat. Otherwise, I would give the word to Chris. Chris Emezue is a seasoned researcher committed to developing intelligent systems that can learn even in low resource scenarios and are reliable. His research areas are natural language processing, causality, and reinforcement learning. As a dedicated contributor to the field of African LP, he has worked on several key projects to improve the representation of low-resource African language technology and data sets. Furthermore, as an entrepreneur, Chris is building LAN Africa, a startup that aims to accelerate the development of AI applications in underrepresented regions. Chris, I would kindly ask you to take the floor and tell us something more about Masakan and also maybe some other initiatives you are working on at the moment.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Chris. We met at the Ars Electronica Festival where I was getting the award for the Masakane community. So I was representing the Masakane community, and I am glad to be here. It's very interesting when we talk about the intersection of science, technology, and arts, because you bring in these diverse fields with the diverse interests, the diverse needs. And it's really beautiful bringing things together and making and building impactful stuff out of it. I would talk about the Masakhane community. It's an example of bringing people together, people from different backgrounds, different races, different regions, different parts of the world, and trying to make something out of it. So that's Masakhane in the area of language. Masakhane is an East Zulu word. It means we build together. And I will just quickly go through some key aspects that connect this talk with this webinar. So I will start with the problem. The problem is sort of what brought us together, what brought all these people who are members of this community. And what brought us together was in the field of language technologies. So everyone is probably familiar with the ChatGPT now. And generally AI is taking the world by storm. There's so many things AI going on right now. Part of science and technology right now is using AI in different domains. So it is true that human language technologies, so when I say this HLT, you can think of your ChatGPT, you can think of your Siris, your Alexas, your Google, and your voice assistants, your Google Translate. So these are wonderful examples of human language technologies. But the stark reality is that while these technologies are very good, they are only covering a very, very tiny percentage of the world languages. So we have about 7,000 plus languages in the world. And these human language technologies only cover a very tiny fraction of that, as you can see on the screen. And so what does this mean? It means that the speakers of the other languages, the communities, the cultures are excluded from this technology. And that's not a good thing. And so this was the problem that brought members of the Masakhane community together. And so the need was, how do we stop this? How do we ensure that African languages are represented well in human language technologies? And so we discovered that it's not such an easy thing. It's not just, oh, let me just go and develop technologies, or oh, let me just go and get more data. Because there's actually a process to building language technologies. So, and there are stakeholders involved. There are also requirements and tools that you need. So, for example, to have a language, you need to have a language represented digitally, you need the content creator. These are the people who write content for different reasons. Then this is how you have content on the internet. So for example, you can think of the numerous volunteers who are writing the Wikipedia articles and editing it. And then content creators need keyboards. So if you don't have a keyboard in your language, which is the case for many of the African languages, then you cannot even write. Content creation is not only about text, but if you don't have the platform to create content in your language, then you cannot create content. So for example, while the Wikipedia articles are really great, there are some African languages that don't have a text form. So they are mostly communicated orally. And so if you have a platform that only requires text, you exclude many of these languages and many of the stories and cultures of these languages. And so after the content creator, you have the annotator, basically the stakeholders that take the content and annotate it for the particular technology in mind. The curators pull the annotated data together, so using crawlers and language identifiers. Now, this is also an interesting part about the requirements needed. If you don't have a language identifier for your African language, you cannot know which content is in your language on the internet. And so a good fraction of these African languages didn't have language identifiers. I use didn't because from the point this slide was created, there've been quite a lot of works towards creating language identifiers. There's one for like 500 languages now, so that's some huge investment. And so then you have the technology side, you can say, which is the language technologist, the person who brings all the models together, and with the compute and trains the model. And then finally, you need the evaluators, the human expert evaluators who will tell you how human or how safe it is to deploy the model that you are using. So it turns out that if you take English, for example, you have all these things, right? You have so many Wikipedia articles, you have so many annotated content, like petabytes of data. We have the technologies readily available, and then you have the evaluators. But when you come to the realm of African languages, it looks a bit like this. Many of these stakeholders, many of these tools, many of these resources are not available. And so you quickly realize that the problem when it comes to African languages is not just about data or compute, it's societal. And so solving our mission of ensuring that technologies represent African languages requires a lot of people coming together to make monumental change. And so what we did was, our solution was basically to try and start bringing these people together. I'll give a primer. This is a little history on how Masakane was formed, actually. So Masakane actually started as a simple movement, and the idea was, this is in the world of machine translation. So machine translation means you translate content from one language to another. So you have English, hello, and then you have a model that translates it to Igbo. So this is what machine translation is. So there was a data set that was released. It's the Jehovah Witness data set from the Jehovah Witness organization. And some authors annotated and curated the data out of it. And because it's the Bible domain, due to a lot of history of evangelism and Christianity on the African continent, so many biblical content were translated into many African languages, so many African languages. And so we had a small data set, just about a few thousand sentences, but in so many African languages. And so the idea was, a couple of people said, okay, why don't we just create a simple collab notebook so that people can just come to this notebook and choose their language. So put their language there and run this notebook, and it will use the data and train a simple model on the data for your language and then give you the output. And then the person can evaluate the output and say, okay, I don't like this sentence, or it's not so good, it's so good. So it was a simple task. Let's build a small notebook that everyone who speaks this language can come, and let's make it very easy to train. So just put your language and run. You don't have to start worrying about the code and everything. And this tiny notebook and tiny effort launched a large-scale collaborative effort towards machine translation for African languages. And it was so huge that it brought a lot of people together and brought a significant impact, which is enabling machine translation models for African languages. So we wrote a paper around it. You can see there are so many people in the author list. This was the first case a conference ever saw something like this. And you can also notice that the first author is not a person, but is this symbol that means for all. So that is signifying that the first author is actually the whole community. The paper won the Wikimedia Foundation Research of the Year award. But the interesting thing is this tiny effort to bring people together. So this speaks to the impact and the importance of collaboration. Okay, so I'll talk about some of the values of the Masakane. One main value, and this is just beyond Masakane for me personally, and I think a lot of us here, one main thing we believe in is that we should shape the technology that we use. If you're using the technology, whether it's for language or for whatever use case, you should be able to shape the technology, shape what it's doing. And so when you think of language technologies, we use language technologies all the time. We have our assistants, we have our translates, we have ChatGPT, summarization, new everything. And it's really transforming our world. And so it's a simple statement that we should be able to shape this technology that we're using. If the technology is not doing well, we should be able to say, okay, you're not doing well, let's find a way to fix this. And this is something that resonates in different domains, including science, technology, and art. We should shape the technology that we use. And so this is one inspiring ethos that sort of brings us together at Masakane. And it's just about building a community of people, basically people with different backgrounds, working together to shape language technologies and the way it's used. So one key method that we use, one key principle that really distinguishes us from many other communities or organizations is the idea of participatory. We call it participatory approach. And the idea of participatory approach is what it seeks to do is to ensure that everyone who should be in the room is in the room. Typically, what happens when you build language technologies is that you have the technologist, so that's the programmer, the coder, sitting in the lab somewhere, pulling data that with little or no information about the language content, training the models, and then you have a couple of automatic metrics that are just checking for some overlap, and then you get a number and say, okay, we have a number, that's good enough, let's publish it. And that has worked for many organizations and worked for a long time. But there are key problems with that approach. And one major key problem is that you're excluding a lot of important people who should be in that room of that language technology that you're building. So, for example, you're excluding the people who speak the language that can tell you how really well the model is doing. A model can be having 90% accuracy. It doesn't mean the model is doing well to be able to release it to the world. You're excluding those people. And so the whole idea of participatory approach is ensuring that everyone who needs to be in that room is in the room. And this is something we take very seriously when we are working on collaborations. It's really about trying to bring the right people into the room and ensuring that everyone is included and everyone's opinions are heard. So what started as a simple collab Jupyter notebook quickly turned into a network basically of about 2,000 participants right now, spanning so many countries of the world. I think one thing I need to say here, when we talk of Masakane, it's not just only about Africans, it's all actually non-Africans, it's for anyone. As long as you're interested in what we call low resource languages. So basically the languages that are excluded from technologies now, and you're really passionate about trying to make sure that the technology includes your language. So basically trying to shape the technology. So it's a platform for everyone. So far we've got quite a lot of traction. We've actually made some key achievements in terms of publications, connections. I also like the achievements we've made within the community. So for example, this has brought lots of connections and networking, job connections, academic connections. One thing I find as a person, one thing I find very, very marvelous about such a community is that it brings you suddenly people you would never be able to meet. You can finally meet them just by typing, by pushing a button. So for example, as a child, for example, as a person living in some outskirts state of Nigeria, and I'm dreaming of, for example, going to Carnegie Mellon University or or Princeton University or to some university in Canada, and I want to go study there for my postgraduate studies. And just because of the dynamics and geographical relationships and differences, I, while having the talent and the talent and I would never have the opportunity to actually meet people there, like meet professors. But suddenly you see that by just going to a Slack platform, you can suddenly talk with professors who are working at CMU, working on low resource languages. You can collaborate on a research topic. You can learn, you can make connections. And so for me personally, that's one huge advantage of building a community around what you're doing. Okay, so I end with some personal notes. The aim of this session is around understanding the needs of the community. So building a community is not the end. It's actually the beginning of the journey. And it's very important to understand the needs of your community. That helps your community to stay healthy, to grow, and to be impactful. So some points are, it's important to know who your community members are. So who are my members? What are what are their backgrounds generally? So some statistics around where they're coming from, trying to understand who they are, where they're coming from, why they are joining, what they are looking for. Very, very important is to establish communication. I have found that really what makes or breaks collaborative effort is communication. The communication platform, the communication channels, and the process of communication, how you set it up is very, very important. So, for example, like on the Masakane community, we have a simple Slack workspace, and anyone and everyone can communicate to anyone they want. And by using the channels, you can share your messages and the opportunities, and everyone can see it. It's also worthy to note that while the Slack workspace is good, it's also not reaching many people. So there are a number of countries or people basically who don't use Slack or who don't know about Slack. So they use maybe things like WhatsApp or Facebook. So yeah, you cannot get everyone, but the idea is important to have a platform to start communication. And you can do that with any platform. And there's Element, there's Discord, there's WhatsApp, Facebook, anything. But it's important to have a platform for communication. It's important to have a process of communication. So how do people communicate? Who do they go to for what kind of reasons? Another important consideration is the barrier to access. So, how do people join your community, and how easy or hard is it to join the community? There are many communities out there with different levels and barriers to access. So, and that's okay, depending on what you want and the kind of people you want. At Masakane, what we did was to have no barrier to access, because we realized that the the members or the kind of people we're targeting, these are people who don't have some of the privileges that we have, for example. So given the example I just gave as a young boy in Nigeria trying to um, get some opportunities around, I may not have some, required publications or required credentials. So by having no barrier to access, the aim was to really try and build a grassroots, bottoms up community that allows anyone and everyone to join. And lastly, it's very important to have well defined values and well defined objectives, because when community members join, or want to join, it's the values that really speak to their hearts. So what kind of values embody your community, and what are some of the objectives of your community? And so just having this somewhere on your website like we do is also an important place for not just members but different stakeholders. So you don't know who is looking at your community from outside. So just having a good set of well-defined values, taking time to think about your values and your objectives is very important. And so that's the end. Lastly, just want to make a note. I'm also working on building another community we can call it like that. It's called Landfricker. And the idea of Landfricker is trying to also go deeper into AI and trying to reach the places that AI hasn't been able to reach, and trying to empower those people to shape the way they use this technology called AI. So, for an example, you can think of the communities in the global south that don't have the same access to data and compute and high level resources that are in the global north. The communities in the global south that have different needs with AI. So trying to reach out to them, include them in the community, and figure out their needs and find ways to, if possible, leverage technology, shape the technology in their way, and leverage it to solve their problems. So thank you very much. That's it about Masakane. And yeah, I'm happy to take your questions or hear your points of view.
Great. Thank you very much, Chris. Does anybody have any questions? I found this project like as one of the most inspirational one as well, coming from this, how Chris also framed it in the participatory approach. And I think it's also a great evidence like how science, technology, arts can meet in one place.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with you.
Chris, maybe I would have a question. Like, I think you have actually like very nicely also wrapped it up in the last slide. But like, how, like, what would you say is the start? Like, once people would like to do something like together, also from the perspective of, I don't know, if we take like ecological crisis or challenges coming with climate change or something like that, how they can start and form a group of like-minded people to address this kind of problems.
Okay, I can give some pointers based on my own personal example. So the first thing, so you have this idea that you want to form a group or community about. The first thing I would say is to open a document. So it can be a Google Doc or Microsoft Doc, whatever document, and write down why you want to form this community. What problem exactly are you trying to solve? What are some of the kinds of people you need in your community? What are some of the principles you want in your community? You don't have to write this all in one day, but the idea is these pointers give you some time to think about this community more, because you don't just rush in and bring in people, because then there's misunderstanding. So you take some time to fill out these pointers to reflect to yourself about this community. And then the last question would be, who are people fit for this community? So you start thinking about your circle. Okay, I know this guy. Oh, this my friend would like this. Let me pitch to him. And so you start bringing a couple of people together. Once you have, I think, 2 or 3 people, you can already start forming the platform and then figuring out how to spread, create awareness about your community, how to spread information about your community. And by then, the document gets more and more with more details. So like, how can people join? When can people join? So you add more details. And with time, this document just becomes your website. So you transfer it into a website, because then it has everything you need, like the values. And yeah, this is my detailed step-by-step process on how to build a community. Of course, it's also important to know if you're having, it's important to get the right people. So you can also think about, who can I reach out to get advice on where to start with. And so, yeah, you're very, very free to also reach out to me via my email for any advice that you need around this.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Chris. Some other questions? Okay. Chris, if it's okay, like we can as well share your email with our participants so that they can reach you in case if they need to.
Yes, that's okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Then I would actually just briefly as well present like some of the practices, like how it's possible to do the needs analysis, because this is one of the things how we envisioned as well this series of webinars is basically coming from the idea that we would like to really equip like all the potential residents as well from the perspective that they would it would be easier as well to propose for the residencies. The call for residencies will go out end of this month or start of December. So it's also good that in case if you are interested for application to the residency, that you maybe have this in mind. Like I think Chris very well made the overview of what is important and like how to structure the needs analysis, and that this is really like the start of everything. As it was already in the call for hosts, we have quite some different areas where we would like to work on with the Starts for Africa projects. And it's really important always to start really from the very good needs analysis. And I would just like to show you some of the different approaches, like how you can start with the needs analysis. One of the, like I would say, one of the most common worldwide known tools or like methodologies how to do that is the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis has kind of like 4 corners. So it's strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. So basically like yeah, so starting with the strengths, thank you very much, Orly. So yeah, starting with the strengths, it would be very much important to always start with the internal resources, like what are the resources that are already inside of the organization, and like how we can help to each other also with these internal resources. And then as well, because this is a good point to be aware about as well, then thinking about who to get on board and who to include in our projects. Analyze the core competences so that like also the residency would be, or the project that we are preparing is really tackled to what are the core competences of like rather the collective or the organization that is proposing the residency, because like if we have this clear like what we are doing, as you have seen, for example, for PINA, participation is something that is in the very core of our work. So that's why we as well did the projects like Draw the Coast, gathering people, and also then lobbying to municipality how this should be something which is very much in the core of what we are doing. And that's why also the project was successful in the end, because we didn't move from our core basically. Then assessing the organization positioning, so that you know like what your organization is capable of doing and like how this is possible to do. Reviewing the past performance as well, so to be aware what we have done in the past and how we can build on this what has been done in the past in the future as well. Weaknesses, it's always good to have in mind like that there is a lot of aspects as well that we need to work on certain things we can affect, certain other things we cannot affect them. So it's very important to have this in mind, like how the changing technology is actually affecting everything that we do, how society demands are changing all the time. And this is as well one thing that you need to take it into consideration when you are preparing your projects, how the data management and also this collection of the data, as Chris has shown, how this was done for Masakan, how important it actually is that like what we do with the data that we are collecting and how we are using it in order to achieve something more or something better this is also like one of the crucial elements. Opportunities, to identify somehow like favorable factors for the project, how we can expand from where we are coming from and how this will upgrade our work, what kind of partnerships we need to build in order to work better, and also like if, for example, if there are some parts of knowledge that we don't have, who then to take on board with us so we can be really successful with the projects, and then as well like what kind of new solutions we are offering for this. And especially always having in mind this, that like we are bringing together kind of like the technology, we are bringing together the scientific approach, and also artistic approach to really like let's say expand the solutions that we have, actually if we are only connecting like two or one dimension. So also this like how new solution is important. And then the threats, and here it's really like also important like to have into consideration like what are, for example, the industry trends and how they are affecting us, then like economic climate. For sure, like the world is all the time changing, and we also should take these kind of things into consideration. What can we achieve for a certain amount of money, or what can we achieve with other resources than money, and how we can also like think from the perspective of like how this will also affect like our solution, what we want to do. And then as well, of course, there are all the time new players. Are they a threat? Can they be an asset? Can we invite them on board, and can we like maybe do something better together? So also this is something to take into consideration. So yeah, to summarize it, this is a very simple table that you can create and think about then all of these aspects, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you can really like start from here when you start to plan your project idea. What else can be done? Focus groups would for sure be one of the very valuable sources of information. So to gather different kinds of groups, asking them questions about what you want to do, and also like maybe questioning them from the perspective if this is useful for their community, for their reality. Is this something that will improve the life of people in the community? Is this something that it can contribute as well to positive change? So really like bringing different stakeholders together on board to discuss, to maybe create some new ideas, and also like to just check what is happening and if this is something that can be useful as well for the future. And last but not least, analysis. So yeah, asking the questions that can help you to come to conclusions, how to create and shape your projects. For sure, there is always like literature review, so that you take into consideration, as Chris has as well shown already, like how many background documents is existing on Masakan, and like also on all the data collections that they have done in the process. The questionnaires, so to create the short questionnaires that you can send around like via email or via some QR codes in your organizational areas that you have. Then sometimes a good starting point can as well be some organizational challenges, so that it would be already something that kind of you have seen in the framework of your work, what is maybe bothering you and you would like to change, or like you need a new solution for your organization. So this is also something that you can like then base your needs analysis on something that you have actually noticed in your own organization or own collective. And then, yeah, one of the options would as well be the observational research. So that you are observing certain behavior or certain challenge that is happening in the local community, and with this project and with the residency, you would be willing to offer the solution, again, like coming with the collective of science, technology, and arts, and bringing the new possibilities. Okay, now it's time again, like for some Q&A. If somebody has any questions, this would be the time to propose them. You can as well put them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask the questions. Okay, anyway, we are still available as well afterwards to also, like, if in the process of the preparation of the residencies you will have some questions, we will be available for counseling or mentorship. Yeah, and then last but not least, technology
is taking over.
What has happened?
No, try to stop and reshare. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, what I wanted to do for the last thing is to invite you to future webinars. So on 14th of November, we are presenting some good practices. We will as well start at 3:30 GMT +1. And we will present some of the interesting practices that were happening in sub-Saharan Africa in order to share some inspiration maybe of what has already been done and what is going on. Then 21st of November, we will talk about funding opportunities, so some regional-based opportunities and also like some possibilities to work with European countries. 28th of November, we go with the project management, so from idea to implementation, how to really shape the projects. And then on 5th of December, it will be our last webinar where we talk about the success factors, so how to define a successful project. We are very much looking forward to also seeing you on the next webinars. I would here on this point, yeah, also close my presentation. Thank you very much for being with us. We would very much like to hear as well how this webinar was for you. You can also like just leave us a message in the chat if you would like some improvements, if you would like to learn something more. Otherwise, yeah, we thank you for your cooperation and we keep in touch. And thank you very much, Chris, one more time to join us.